Mary Carty, an entrepreneur, a mentor and co-founder of Outbox Incubator. Tell us a bit about your journey so far as all of those things.
Well, I guess my route into entrepreneurship maybe is a little bit later than a lot of people, and particularly my route into tech took longer. So before I moved into tech, I worked in the arts and I was a teacher for many years. And then I decided to become a CEO of a design agency called Spoiled Child. And during that time, we built a lot of products, SaaS products particularly, built them, scaled them, and sold them. And during that time, when I became a brand new tech founder, I went in a program called IGAP. And IGAP it's a growth acceleration program for people who were starting businesses who had a really good potential of growing and scaling those businesses. And I learned a huge amount, and it absolutely changed my life. In recent years now, I've spent a lot more time giving back, I guess, and being mindful about the fact that there are so few women in technology, and very few female founders, at least when I became a female founder. And also that shocked the system where I moved from a completely female-oriented industry or industries to one that I was the only woman in the room. So my involvement with Stemets and Outbox Incubator has stemmed from trying to help and instead of complaining to do something about it.
You've spoken really highly about the IGAP program and the mentoring that you received through that. How important is mentorship as an entrepreneur?
It's absolutely huge, particularly for me because this industry was so new. I hadn't founded a company before. I was learning the ropes as someone who works in technology and what that means, managing a team in tech for the first time, and really important things like spec sheets and what a user needs and requires, all those things, and to build a confidence around being a founder, and also to build a confidence around managing a team and growing your vision. That was really, really huge. And then the other things that maybe you don't think about day to day, about market forces or how you market or talk about yourself or how you sell your story, and the things that are really important. It gave me time to stand back and think about that bigger picture. And when you're too busy every day running a business, sometimes you just don't have that space to stand back and really critically think about who you are and what you're about, and maybe kill off as many darlings as you possibly can, which is very difficult. That was really, really valuable. And IGAP for me gave me a space to believe in myself and be confident and be taken seriously and be mentored by really incredible people and make great connections. And lots of those people are very strong mentors and, I suppose, advocates for me still, and people I'd pick the phone up and chat to. So yeah, incredibly valuable.
As a teacher, you obviously have a background in mentoring and you've been through a program like this yourself, and it's an ongoing relationship. But what do you think is needed for mentoring to be done really well?
Listen. And that was one of the experiences I learned very early on as a teacher. I always learned more than I taught, I felt. And to listen. If you don't listen really carefully to the problems that a person has, and you jump in with advice too early, it's no good. You haven't gained real empathy for the problem or the person. So to listen and find out where they're coming from, and then maybe to help steer them in the right direction. And at the end of the day, a founder has to find the answers themselves. So my advice is really not that much good, because your problem is probably different to mine in some ways. It's not the same. So you need to go off armed with as much information as you can, and then find those answers for yourself. And a good mentor will help you find those answers and send you to places where maybe you haven't thought about. So listening is really important, and then connecting that person together with whoever is necessary to speak to. That's another really great quality of a good mentor. And I would say the last thing about a good mentor is to know when to stand back. You can get so stuck in operations, that's not your job, because that's what you want to do. You want to get in there and fix. The best lesson is to stand back and let that team, take up that problem and sort it themselves, and then learn from that and be proud of it, and then use that as a springboard to the next thing. So as a mentor, most of the time, get away from operations, stand back and help them make that dream reality.
So you said that you came to being a tech entrepreneur at a later stage, and now through Outbox Incubator you're bringing young women into the mix as entrepreneurs. But is that something that you do advise, that young people get involved in entrepreneurship?
I think that anything that builds confidence in a person, a young person, an older person, it doesn't matter. I think what you learn on the way as an entrepreneur will teach you so many lessons about yourself, first and foremost. It's almost like the pointing the finger piece. If you point a finger, you point it at someone, but everything else points back at you. You will learn a whole lot. You will learn about the things you need help with just as much as the things that you're great at. So I think being an entrepreneur at any age is a fantastic experience, and you can bring that with you for the rest of your life, whatever that is, even if it's back into employment again, or it's basically about solving problems and being creative and building a team around you to help you solve those problems. And I think that's the one thing that I guess connects entrepreneurs together, is that deep curiosity, that deep questioning of why is it like that? Why does it have to be like that? Can we make a difference, or can we change something? And I think young people are fantastic at asking those questions, and maybe as we get older we get a little bit more lazy and stuck in our ways, and maybe we're not as open to the answers. So I think if you're a young person and you have an idea, go for it. Why not? The world is your oyster.
There are some amazing projects that came out of Outbox Incubator. I'm sure it's really hard to single any one out, but what are some of the ones that stood out for you?
I have 115 godchildren now, which is really incredible, from 6 countries. So from the 115 we have 35 new startups, and many of the girls who might not have had an idea themselves have now become co-founders or COOs or chief marketing officers. So that's really great. That's a really great ecosystem right there. So some of the projects, it's impossible to single anyone out. Some of the projects have to do with sustainability and food security, Internet of Things, wearables, anything to do with making life better for people, environment and place. And that was a very interesting thing. Some of the ideas, for example, Edel from Galway has built a device where people with Parkinson's can put this little device on their shoe, and it will help them in terms of their gait, so they don't freeze so much, they don't shake so much. And she's tested that, and by using this wearable, this device, the gait freezing problem is solved by 40%.
That's amazing.
It's huge in someone's life. To give someone the confidence to go out and navigate the world like they did beforehand is pretty incredible. 2 of the other girls were involved in building apps around when, we'll say, you have a shortage or a short out of data in a hospital, or we'll say a bank or something like that, where a system goes down. And these girls are building an app around that, so that you can keep all that information in a place, so that if the worst goes the worst, you can actually go back and put systems back together pretty quickly, and that your whole team knows and understand what should happen, or what protocols should be put in place. So Katrina and Vanessa are involved in that, and that's pretty great. And then Martha, also from here, she was talking about asthma. I mean, lots and lots of us have asthma, or problems like this. None of us know how many puffs are in an inhaler.
Yeah.
So how do you know? So you go and play football, and you need to take your inhaler and you give it a shake, and you hope that there's something left in the bottom of it, and you don't know until it's too late that there's actually nothing there. And also, where do you put your inhaler? Do you have it in your bag? You think you do, it's not there, you have an attack, it's pretty serious. So her idea was to help children in particular, and young people, find their inhalers and bring them with them. You could put a little device at the bottom of the inhaler and it would tell you where it was, almost like Find Your Phone. And there's a lot of applications that could be used for her idea, but a lot of people die because there are no puffs left in their inhalers. It's such a simple thing, and you kind of imagine in 2015 we'd have sorted that one already. We haven't. So some of these ideas from the girls were incredibly useful to people and society, and that was an absolute eye-opener for me. And food security in terms of, we'll say, transport, sustainability for transport. Neve's working on an app to recharge my e-car. So could you drive your car from Dublin to Donegal, and where could you charge your car? And do you know if the charging point is available? So you can track your car and how you can charge it on a journey. Really important, really, really good. And then other girls are involved in things like talking about things about loneliness and depression, and all those things that we try and to tell our young people that it's okay if you don't feel okay. And one of the girls built a positivity pack. And in the positivity pack, you've got bubble wrap. Tell me who doesn't like bubble wrap. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you got bubble wrap and tea bags and a notebook and a pen and some chocolate. And you know, Christine's idea and her co-founder, their idea is you can send someone a positivity pack. And I think of all the horrible birthday presents I've bought for people over the years when we could give them a positivity pack and say, hey, it's okay, I'm thinking about you. So yeah, so these are some of the ideas. There were many, many more really incredible ideas, and I'm sure these girls are going to be incredibly successful.
Something that really struck me about the Outbox Incubator projects is that so many of them address social and societal issues. Is that something that you set out to encourage in the girls that were participating in the programme as a social entrepreneur yourself?
For Outbox, we didn't set out to have any particular, genre of creativity or startups included. That wasn't the idea. The girls brought their ideas to Outbox themselves. And as it happens, a lot of those ideas serve the greater good. And I don't think that's unusual. I think a lot of young people do think about greater good and the future and sustainability and loneliness and homelessness and lots of these things that they're passionate about. Who knows what the mix will be next year? I don't know. There are some girls who are interested in building apps like, social networks or whatever else, but predominantly the ideas were around social good. And I think for myself, at least, I don't call myself a social entrepreneur at all. I guess I don't identify as that. I identify as an entrepreneur, somebody who solves problems. And I think social entrepreneurship is a really interesting part of entrepreneurship, in that you look at the greater good and you put those funds back in. And I think that's a really nice balance. So for me, an entrepreneur or entrepreneurship is deeply involved in solving problems, whatever they might be.
Watching the Outbox Incubator programme taking place over the summer was really encouraging and really inspiring. And seeing things like this happening elsewhere is making me feel that there's a sea change about taking a broader perspective. Do you think that there is positivity and change coming, or are you a little bit more pessimistic?
I'm really optimistic. I think that small things can do big things, if that makes sense. Like a small change can make a really big difference. Lighting a fire or starting an idea or supporting somebody in their journey, that's really huge. A phone call can make the difference between winning a client or not. Making an introduction to someone, opening a door, that can be the difference between success and failure sometimes. So to see 115 young women on that programme over the summer from every type of background, different languages, different countries, different ideas, absolutely thrilling. I'm just so proud that I had part of it. And I think that if there's 115 girls who could do that programme this year, there are many, many others in the world who could do just the same. I'm really hopeful, and I think that this generation of young women are strong and independent and want to do something really important for the world, so it's up to us to support and help them. And equally, the likes of, we'll say, Sue Black's Tech Mums as well. There's a whole host of good things that are happening. So, educated women, women who are involved in technology, education, women who can teach their children and society. That's the biggest change that will happen if women are educated, because they educate their children and their communities. I think it's part of a wider push right now, and I think we're in a good place. We just have to keep shouting and pushing.
We will.
Yeah, we will. We have to.
As a tech journalist, obviously we write a lot about what's exciting, what's happening in tech, and a lot of attention is paid to the next Apple or the next Facebook or the next Snapchat. But do you think enough attention is paid to social entrepreneurship?
Of course, we're all going to bet on the horses that are going to win, and the people who've got the biggest marketing budget to jump up and down and make us all stand up and take notice. That's okay. But then there are also other things happening, like Coder Dojo started here, and what that has achieved. I think there is a lot more notice taken about what people are doing right now, and a lot more understanding that an idea from two young boys down in Limerick or Tipperary can suddenly become Stripe in a couple of years. So we're waking up to the fact that age doesn't bring wisdom, that innovation doesn't come from one quarter only, that innovation and good ideas can come from anybody at any stage. And if anything, we have to look at everyone's voice, and we need to include everyone, whoever you are and whatever age you're at. I'm really passionate about that idea. It's very easy to exclude. We need to open up and let people in. So yes, Mark Zuckerberg is amazing and he's done incredible things, and yes, the latest iPhone is great, but we also have to support what's coming next.
In terms of setting goals, what do you advise the Outbox executives? Are you saying that unicorn status is all there is, or is there more than that?
In the very beginning, I genuinely tell them, like an actor or a writer, work on the craft. Work on the craft, work on the craft, work on the craft. You get a really good product that people want. After that, who knows? If the product is strong enough and you've got a strong enough team, and as a leader, you're a good leader and you bring people in and build a good team around you, anything's possible. To understand what you have is the most important thing, and not to get sidetracked by all the other crazy stuff that goes on. Work on the craft, work on the product, work on the team, work on yourself. That's the first thing.
Keep working.
Keep working, yeah. And the thing is, if you don't have a good product or service, none of those doors open for you. You learn loads, but that's the ambition. The ambition is to build or make the best you can, and then after that, push for whatever you want. Why not go for unicorn status if that makes you happy? Why not?